Have you ever gotten to the end of the week and it just feels like a total blur of back-to-back calls? You know you had some great conversations, maybe some brilliant ideas were sparked, but by Friday, well, nothing has actually moved forward. It feels like you're just running in place. Today, we are going to unlock the system that turns all of that talk into trackable, meaningful work. Let's dive in.
And that right there, that is the core idea. The problem isn't you. It's not your memory. It's not your focus. It's that you're missing a critical bridge, a connection between your meetings and your actual work management systems. It's a system failure, not a personal one. And today, we're going to build that system.
The meeting black hole. We've all been here. You hang up from a call, you're buzzing with energy. The next steps feel so clear. But then, the next meeting starts, right? Emails start piling up, and by the end of the day, all that momentum has just vanished. The good ideas, the tasks somebody agreed to, they've all been sucked into that black hole.
So, to fight this, we need a fundamental shift in how we think about meeting AI. The goal isn't just to get a perfect transcript or a nice little summary paragraph. No, the real goal is to produce operational outputs. I'm talking about things like tasks, follow-up emails, and CRM-ready notes that actually push work forward. Okay, now look at this. The shift seems so simple, but the impact is absolutely massive. On the one hand, asking for a recap gives you, well, a history lesson. It's passive. On the other hand, asking for tasks and a follow-up message, that gives you a head start on your actual work. It's active. This is the whole ball game right here.
To make this work reliably, there are a few key practices to bake in. First, you want to force clean rules, like, say, only capturing actions that have a clear verb and an owner. Then, standardize your output with a template so it's always consistent. You should also add what I call a CRM lens to pull out key info like budget or timeline. And this one's important. Ask the AI to flag anything it's unsure about. This is how you build trust in the system.
All right, let's talk about some common pitfalls, because you'll definitely run into them. First up, whatever you do, never ask your AI to guess who owns a task or when it's due. That just creates these phantom tasks that nobody is actually accountable for. The fix is super simple. Just tell it to mark anything not explicitly stated as to be determined. That keeps your action list clean and, more importantly, honest.
Here's another classic mistake: getting one big jumbled output that mixes your candid internal team chat with the polished professional message you need to send to a client. The easy fix? Just ask for two separate outputs. One is your internal brief, and the other is the customer-facing follow-up. It's a small change that saves so much editing time.
And finally, please don't try to do everything in one gigantic, complex prompt. It's just not reliable. A much better approach is a two-step flow. So first, you prompt the AI to extract all the key information into a nice structured format, like a list of decisions and actions. Then, you use a second prompt to generate your emails and tasks from that clean, structured data.
So how do you build these awesome prompts every single time? Well, this framework is basically your blueprint. You define the AI's role, the specific task you want it to do, the context it should pull from, give it examples of what a good output looks like, set some constraints on things to avoid, and finally, define the tone. Using this structure just makes your results dramatically better and way more consistent.
Okay, so that's the theory. That's the how-to. Now let's see how this pipeline actually works in the real world for a few different roles. Let's get practical.
For a sales rep, this is an absolute game changer. You can feed in the transcript from a discovery call, and what comes out is a perfectly formatted note for your CRM. It'll detail everything: pain points, stakeholders, timeline, next steps, you name it. This completely eliminates that awful, tedious manual data entry you have to do after every call. Or, let's say you're in customer success. You can take a simple check-in call and instantly generate a shared action plan. This little document is brilliant because it creates immediate alignment. Both you and your customer have a single source of truth for who is doing what and by when. It's crystal clear.
And for all my operations folks or project managers out there, imagine turning a 30-minute project sync meeting directly into a list of actions that are already formatted for Asana or Jira. It details the owners, the due dates, and, crucially, it flags any blockers that were discussed. The conversation gets instantly translated into an actual work plan.
So you can see how powerful this is at the individual level, right? But to really make this work across a team or a company, you have to think bigger. You're not just implementing a cool new tool, you're actually building an organizational system.
First things first, let's just tackle a common myth head-on. A lot of people worry that AI note-takers will make everyone tune out of meetings. But you know what? The truth is actually the opposite. When you know for a fact that the details are being captured reliably, you're free to stop scribbling notes and actually focus on the human side of the conversation, on building rapport and asking better questions. It frees you up to be more present.
This brings us to what is probably the single most costly mistake that leaders make. They roll out an amazing tool, but they don't define a process for where the outputs are supposed to go. So you end up with this graveyard of beautifully summarized meetings where all the valuable action items just slowly die, trapped inside the transcripts forever.
The fix, though, is a pretty straightforward workflow. First, you standardize the output format for all meetings. Second, you require a quick 2-minute human review after every call, just to clean things up. Third, and this is key, you push the action items into your task management system that same day. Fourth, store all your notes in one consistent, central place. And finally, run a weekly roll-up prompt to see if anything is getting stuck. That is the pipeline.
And this table here illustrates perfectly how the tools fit together. You use something like Fireflies.ai to capture the conversation and generate the initial actions, but then, and this is the pipeline part, that work needs to flow into a real task tracker like Asana or Jira for accountability, and the customer context needs to land in your CRM. It's like a relay race. Each tool hands the baton to the next.
Okay, we have covered a lot. The mindset, the prompts, the system. Now let's talk about putting this into practice. Let's make it real with one simple, concrete step you can take today.
So to start, just ask yourself this one question. Which of my meetings creates the most invisible work? The stuff that's not tracked anywhere. Is it your sales discoveries, the weekly project syncs, maybe those client check-ins? Just pinpoint the one that consistently leaves you with a huge pile of follow-up tasks.
And here is your first step. Pick that one meeting, just one, this week. Capture it. Then, after it's over, use what you've learned here to run a single prompt that generates both the list of action items and a draft of the follow-up email. Just see how it feels. See how much time it saves you. This is the very first link in your new meeting to work pipeline.
And that's all for this explainer. Go turn those valuable conversations into visible action. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time.